Yeah, it's been a week. Marker. I don't know how this shit happened. Fucking. Oh! Well, no, I know how this shit happened. Let's try this again. Holy crap. So, yeah, it's been a week, and it's gonna continue being weeks. Let's see, what happened this week? Well, I've been shooting plays at KL Pack ever since they started reopening, and I just got back from shooting the closing matinee for Usman Awang poetry recital, which I will get back to. But yeah, it's weird. Like, I can't even process in my head what's been going on. What has been going on? Okay, so beginning of the week, I was helping Amelia do a photo shoot. I think on what day was that? Yeah, so I was helping Amelia do a photo shoot on Monday, which was fun and interesting, but yeah, tiring. No, sorry. I was helping Amelia do a photo shoot on Tuesday over at the studio for her headshots. And then Wednesday, I was helping Davina shoot a promo that's a tie-in with Body Shop. Right after that, I had to go off to the dress rehearsal at KL Pack so that I know what's going on, so that when I shoot, I can shoot it pretty decently. Thursday, of course, shooting that. And at the same time, also setting stuff up in the studio, because I've been trying to set up the drum kit and the mics for that. That was Thursday. Friday, I can't remember what happened. Oh man, my brain is all wonky. I think Friday I spent mostly in the studio. Saturday as well at the studio. And then today, shooting the closing night for Usman Awang, as well as doing all the editing. Well, not editing, transferring the footage, converting footage, all kinds of stuff. Wow, it's really kicking in how frazzled I am, because on top of that, I've been feeling really under the weather. Haven't been getting much sleep. My slip disc got aggravated pretty damn badly, and that's not been fun. That's just been an immense amount of pain. And constantly feeling like my body was fighting something, like fighting off a possible fever or whatever. Did the antigen test just to be sure, and thankfully I'm clear, possibly just exhausted. I don't know. I'm pretty sure like the slip disc and all that is from suddenly shooting again, because when you're working the camera, you're never in a good posture when you're working the camera. I actually started thinking about going to a chiropractor after seeing how my DP on Showdown, TechZ, gets an adjustment like before and after every shoot. I was like, what's that about? I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but my little kitten Boo's in heat again. Every time I want to go and get her fixed, it turns out to coincide with when she's in heat, and you can't fix them when they're in heat, so I gotta wait till next weekend, although this one is lasting longer than usual. It is weird that I cannot remember shit right now because I'm so exhausted. Also a bit disappointed today because I woke up early and I figured, okay, I got some time to mess around with the drum kit again at the studio before going off to shoot at KL Pack. And that's when I discovered that my aircon unit was just dripping with water like mad. It was still dripping when I left just now. And it's hanging off the wall, which is crazy to me. This coming week, I'm shooting every single day except Friday. And even Friday is not really a chill day because that's the one time I managed to book my chiropractor, who I haven't seen since January because of COVID. And whilst I don't feel as off as I did in the middle of the week, I'm still feeling very wonky, kind of running on adrenaline. The reason why I've been waking up early a lot is because of weird dreams, very strong, vivid dreams. Last night, I dreamt that first I dreamt that my mom was giving me crap over something, and then right after that, a bunch of 80s Hong Kong triad movie gangsters, for some reason, were in my house, and one of them was trying to rape me. He had me pinned down, licking my body everywhere, and just when I was about to fight back, that's when I woke up. And it's weird, that really pissed me off because I just wanted to beat the shit out of this guy and all his crew, but yeah, I don't know why it woke me up just as I was about to start kicking some shit. Maybe because I wouldn't have won, I have no idea, but that was a weird fucked up dream, which has probably been kicked off by the fact that in the news, I won't go into it because I already talked about how rape is not funny in a previous episode about that student, but yeah, some actor was joking about, how he likes to shoot rape scenes more and describe this rape scene that really got him hard and all this bullshit. And of course, people having a field day with him and kind of half-heartedly apologized, and now he's posting cryptic shit on his social medias. Needless to say, I don't think I need to remind everyone that that shit is fucked up, and it's also shit I've heard from actors for quite a while in our industry, which is just stupid. But I don't want to talk about that shit because it's depressing and everyone's talking about it right now. I was going to, but then, I started shooting this poetry thing of Usman Awang, who is a poet laureate in this country, in Malaysia. And whilst I've always heard about him, I've never really read any of his poetry. And, I was going into it just as like, this is a gig, just, very objectively shoot this performance of all these poems, these interpretations of these poems. But for some reason, like, his stuff really hit me. Like, there were two poems in particular. One is Beli Buatan Malaysia, which was an awesome piece. And the other one was, I think it's called Sahabatku. I'll need to double check that. But two really awesome pieces, which are disturbingly current when you think about the fact that it was written in the mid 80s. They're basically poems talking about a lot of shit that we're talking about these days, about the equality, the whole like Bumi Putra, non-Bumi Putra bullshit. When are we gonna be one fucking country, not separated by race? The Beli Buatan Malaysia piece was really interesting because it's, questioning the hypocrisy of being told to buy Malaysian goods, but all these people that are telling to do this from big companies and the government and whatever, do y'all buy Malaysian goods? Like, it's a great piece. And, it's just good poetry. And it's weird, like, watching that strangely reignited my interest in poetry. I started writing, or more actively writing, or thinking that I could write because of poetry. When I was 13 and in school in England, going to England for the second time, in a school called Hendon Prep. And I'll never forget it because it was a really impactful time in my life and a very impactful teacher. I'm kind of the odd one out because I'm Malaysian. No one really knew where that country was, what race I was, what kind of Asian are you. And because I was coming in mid-year, like there were a few things that I didn't have to study, like I didn't have to study Latin. Now that I look back, I kind of wish that I did study Latin because I always find language interesting and Latin is a root language. But I'll never forget this moment where we were all asked to write a poem. I think we went to a trip to check out some animals and there were owls. I still have this photo, it's in my studio, of me as a kid with this owl on my shoulder, which is really interesting because our company's called Nocturna Productions and our logo is an owl. But yeah, like we had to write this poem about owls, and I wrote it, and I still have it actually in my school yearbook for that year. And I remember writing it, and I wrote it really quickly because writing stuff like that, writing in general didn't seem difficult to me. I had no conception that it was actually a chore for a lot of people. It was something that came naturally, even at a young age. So I wrote this poem, and I'm like, put my hand up, so I'm finished. Also, everyone's still writing. And Mr. CJ, this lovely Englishman with a comb over, he comes over and he looks at the poem and he's like, you wrote this? I'm like, yes. And I could tell like he was really surprised at how quickly I wrote it. So he asked me to write another poem about anything. So I wrote another poem. And he had this very serious look on his face like, Kyril, these are really good. And he started to encourage my writing and just encourage honing that craft, not just in writing poetry, but just writing prose, just writing in general, writing in the English language, which says a lot about the impact that a good teacher can make, because I'm pretty sure if it wasn't for that moment, I would not have thought that I could write. So because of that, I would hone that skill and keep writing. He would keep encouraging and, he would give me books and stuff to check out. Like at the final year in Hendon Prep, it's kind of a graduation, but everyone gets a gift and it's usually a book, and everyone got all these cool books. And I was, I'd say about 13 plus going on 14. Actually, no, 12 going on 13, actually. I would have been younger, yeah. So I would have gone to Hendon Prep around 12-ish. And we all opened up our books, and I had the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Douglas Adams. The complete works, which I still have somewhere in this house. All 4 books. Hardback, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And a friend of mine had this book about UFOs and aliens. And I was really into extraterrestrial shit and mysteries and stuff like that. You know, basically, if I was a kid right now, I'd be so into ancient aliens, it'd be stupid. So, because it's England and there's no point in driving everywhere if you can walk it. So we're walking from the hall to the school in a line. And I'm trying to swap this book because I had never heard of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've never heard of Douglas Adams. I'm trying to swap this book with my friend who has this aliens book. You know, just trying to swap it. And Mr. CJ, seeing this from the back, calls me out, you know, and gives me a telling off. Like, he's like, Kyril, it's very rude for you to, you know, give away a gift that someone gives you. Like, I picked that out specifically for you. And I felt bad, but I was also like, shit, he caught me. Because I still didn't appreciate this gift he gave me. I had no idea what it was. And I didn't read that book until I was 16. By the time I was 16, I'd finished my GCSEs and it was the 3 months of nothing before I go off to A-level college. And I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna read this stupid book. And that's when it hit me how well that teacher knew me and why he picked out that book. Cause like he knew that I would get it and I would dig it and I would love the writing style and I would appreciate it. I just had no idea at the time. Cause it was the first book I'd ever read that made me laugh out loud. I'd read funny books before, you know, and joke books or whatever, but I never like laughed out loud like that's funny and just chuckle. Like I fell off the sofa laughing and I couldn't continue reading for a while because it was so fucking funny. And I remember what joke it was too. It was the bit where what was it? Those bureaucratic aliens had captured them and their form of torture was to read them poetry. It was just the stupidest nonsensical bullshit. Like I just fell on the floor laughing. It was so fucking funny. And yeah, like watching this Usman Awang performance reminded me that I used to write poetry a lot. And I stopped because I started writing music. And what are lyrics but poetry set to music? I wasn't thinking in terms of poems anymore. I was thinking in terms of verse and chorus. And that's how it's been ever since I started playing in bands. I kind of stopped writing poetry. And also, like, you know, there's kind of a stereotype when it comes to poetry. There's a lot of bad poetry in the world that you sometimes forget what good poetry is. But yeah, I really appreciated shooting this play. Well, not play, this performance, this poetry performance. Because it really helped to remind me like how awesome poetry can be, how good writing in poetry can really hammer home an idea or a point. And yeah, so yeah, I might start writing poetry again. I don't know. I mean, on the flip side, it's also given me a different insight, a different viewpoint in approaching music as well. So, I don't know. But either way, it's like, it just got the juices flowing a little bit more. So, I'm quite glad that it did. I might even look up some more of his work, because that stuff was interesting. But yeah, poetry. Shit's cool.